Alright, this is part 2 of law of sines and cosines. So, here we can see a problem we have, where we have a couple of sides, 8 and 11, we have a missing side, and we have one known angle of 131. So, continue from last video, we know that if we take the sine of an angle divided by its opposite side, so the sine of 131 over x, it is equal to the sine of any other angle divided by its opposite side. So we could take the sine of this angle, which we don't know, divided by 8, or the sine of this angle, which we don't know, divided by 11. Problem with that is we have too many unknowns. We can't make an equation because we have too many unknowns going on. So the law of sines won't work on this type of problem. Luckily for you, we also have something called the law of cosines. Now what the law of cosines says, it's written kind of similar, you'll see, to the Pythagorean theorem. What it says is, if we have a side, an unknown side, and we square it, it's equal to the sum of the two other sides minus 2 times the other two sides multiplied together times the cosine of the angle opposite of A. Let me draw a triangle here to make a little more sense of that. Triangle. We have a triangle here. We're trying to find a missing side. We'll call this side A. We don't know what it is. We want to figure out what it is. It's equal to squaring the opposite sides, squaring the two other sides. So we'll call this B and C. So if we square both of those, then we subtract B times C, 2 times that, times the cosine of A. Cosines are always of angles. So A would be the angle opposite the side we're trying to get. So to run through it one more time, we have an unknown side squared is equal to the other two sides summed up and squared minus 2 times the other two sides multiplied together times the cosine of the angle opposite that. So a lot of stuff going on. Let's look at a problem and see if we can make it a little bit simpler. Alright. So here's our problem. We have an unknown side x here. Alright, we know our other two sides of the triangle, and we know this angle opposite of x. If it was a right triangle, we could use the Pythagorean theorem and figure it out really easily, but it's not a right triangle. So this law of cosine says that our unknown side we're looking for, if we square that, it's equal to the other two sides squared and added together minus 2 times our other two sides multiplied together times the cosine of the angle opposite of our unknown side. So this is the equation we're going to use. Now if we simplify all this down, we should get what we want for x. Now we can do this little by little. It's usually easier. And then piece it all together at the end. Or, if you're feeling brave, you can plug it all in your calculator at once. Let's go piece by piece though, this time around. Next time we'll put it all in at once. So x squared is equal to 8 squared is not 88, it is 64. plus 11 squared is 121. Alright, and then we have minus 2 times 8 times 11 times the cosine of 131. I'll put that all in my calculator at once. 2 times 8 times 11 times cosine of 131. And I get negative 115.466. Alright, we have to be careful here though, because I put a positive 2 in there. Oh, let's go back. I put this positive 2 in my calculator, right here. So we still have a minus sign. So it's minus negative 115 point, I'm going to round it off to 0.5. Alright, so x squared is equal to 64 plus 121 minus negative 115.5. Minus a negative, we know we can change to addition. So let's put all this in our calculator. 64 plus 121 plus 115.5 is equal to 300.5. So x squared is equal to 300.5. So is this side equal to 300.5? That doesn't look right. We have a triangle that is 8, 11, and 300.5. That's not going to make a triangle. The problem is we have this x squared here. And what we're looking for is x. So hopefully we remember, to get rid of square, we need to take the square root. Squares and square roots cancel out, and we get x is equal to the square root of 300. What's the square root of 300? Let's see. Square root of 300. Oh, something messed up there. Square root of 300 is equal to 17.32, which would be an acceptable answer looking at our triangle here. That would make a triangle. Alright, here's another one. We're going to try to find the missing side. So we'll call this x again. There's our missing side. It'd be good if you pause this now and went ahead and tried it on your own to see if you get the exact same answer as I do. So, you can go ahead and pause it and try on your own. I may work through it. If I work through it, we're looking for a missing side x. So, the law of cosines tells me that that missing side squared is equal to the sum of the squares of my other two sides minus 2 times my other two sides multiplied together, 13 times 5.8. It's a really long formula. If we have room, times the cosine of the angle opposite my unknown side I'm looking for. Alright. Now this time around I'm going to go ahead and try and put all that in my calculator at once. Which we can do as long as we do it carefully. Move it over here so I can see. Alright, so I have 13 squared plus 5.8 squared minus 2 times 13 times 5.8 times the cosine of 67. Luckily my calculator knows order of operations, so I don't have to put any parentheses in there. If I hit enter, I get x squared is equal to 143.7. about 143.7. So hopefully you realize 143.7 is way too big for this. That would not make a triangle. And you notice that we have this x squared here. So to get rid of our x squared, finish up this problem, we take the square root of both sides, and the square root cancel out. We get x is equal to the square root of 143.7. I'm going to say the square root, and if you hit up on the calculator, I'll hit that, our answer again. It'll be more accurate that way, because I just rounded to one decimal, and this brings it all out nice and long for us. Hit enter, and we get 11.988, which is just about 12. X is about 12. And that looks like a reasonable answer for this. Alright, that's all for today's lesson.